Let me paint you a picture. You're working hard, paying bills, maybe even trying to save for the future. But every time you check your budget, it feels like your money just doesn't go as far as it used to. Groceries? More expensive? Gas? Don't even get me started. And rent? That's practically a second job. But why is this happening? Why does everything, food, rent, gas, even your Netflix subscription, keep getting more expensive? Why does it feel like the cost of living keeps rising while your paycheck stays the same? Here's the thing, you're not imagining it. The money you earn is being quietly drained, right under your nose. The culprit? Inflation. Now, before you tune out and think, great, another boring economics lecture, stay with me. Because the truth is, inflation isn't just about numbers on a chart or news headlines about the economy. It's about your everyday life, your bills, your savings, your future. And if you don't understand it, you'll keep losing the financial game without even knowing why. In this video, I'm breaking it all down. By the time we're done, you'll understand why the price of everything is going up, who's behind it, and most importantly, what you can do to fight back. Let's dive in. Okay, so what is inflation? Let's keep it simple. Inflation is when the prices of things go up and the value of your money goes down. Imagine you have $10 today, and with that, you can buy 10 chocolate bars at $1 each. Now, fast forward a year, and those same chocolate bars cost $1.50 each. Your $10 can now only buy 6 chocolate bars instead of 10. That's inflation at work. It's not that chocolate bars became fancier. Your money just lost its buying power. And here's the bottom line. The system is designed this way. The money you earn is constantly being eroded by the very system that created it. When central banks, like the Federal Reserve or the Reserve Bank of Australia, create more money, it dilutes the value of the money you already have. That's inflation in action. But why does this happen? Let me break it down with a quick story. Picture the economy as a giant balloon. Every dollar in circulation is like air being pumped into that balloon. Now, as long as the balloon stays stable, everything works fine. But if you start pumping too much air, too many dollars, into that balloon, what happens? The balloon stretches. The prices of everything inside it, like food, gas, and housing, start to rise because there's more air, money, chasing the same number of things. This is what happens when governments or central banks print more money or flood the economy with cash to solve short-term problems. It stretches the balloon, making everything more expensive. Now, you might think, okay, so prices go up. Isn't that just normal? Well, yes and no. Some level of inflation is natural and even healthy. It shows the economy is growing. But the kind of inflation we're seeing today, it's a whole different story. Here's why. When inflation gets out of control, it doesn't just mean prices go up, it means your money, the money you've worked so hard to earn, starts losing its value. It's like someone's secretly reaching into your pocket and stealing a little bit of your purchasing power every single day. So, when you wonder why your grocery bill is double what it used to be, or why rent keeps climbing while your paycheck stays the same, inflation is the invisible force at play. And trust me, inflation doesn't care if you're rich or broke. It affects everyone. But here's the catch. It doesn't affect everyone equally, and we'll talk more about that later. But first, let's dig a little deeper into where inflation comes from and why it feels like the price of everything is going up. And hey, I want to hear from you. Have you noticed prices going up where you live? Drop the word tight in the comment section down below if you've been feeling the pinch of rising prices. Why tight? Because that's exactly what inflation is doing. It's squeezing your money and making it feel like there's less of it. Let me know how inflation is impacting you. Now, let's make sense of where inflation actually comes from. Trust me, it's not some mysterious force that just happens. Inflation is created, on purpose. And it all starts with one key player, central banks. Central banks, like the Federal Reserve in the United States or the Reserve Bank of Australia, are responsible for managing the supply of money in the economy. They're the ones who decide how much money is out there and, indirectly, how much things cost. But here's the catch. They're not always working in your best interest. When the economy starts slowing down, central banks use tools to get things moving again. One of their favorite tools? Creating more money. This isn't as simple as printing physical bills anymore. Instead, they digitally add money to the economy. Think of it like this. Imagine a faucet connected to a giant tank of money. When central banks want to boost the economy, they open the faucet, letting more money flow into the system. But here's the problem. This extra money doesn't come with extra goods or services. It's just more cash floating around, chasing the same amount of stuff. Why does this cause inflation? Let me explain with a simple story. Imagine there's a small bakery in your town that makes the best donuts, but they only make 100 donuts a day. Now, if 10 people show up each with $5, those donuts might sell for 50 cents each. But what happens if 50 people show up, all with $5? Suddenly there's way more money chasing the same 100 donuts, so the bakery raises the price to $1 per donut. This is essentially what happens when central banks flood the economy with more money. There's more cash chasing the same amount of goods and services, so prices naturally rise. That's inflation in action. Here's another twist. Most of the money central banks create isn't just sitting around. It's created as debt. When governments need more money to fund their spending, whether it's for infrastructure, healthcare, or even war, they borrow it from central banks. The central banks, in turn, create money to lend to the government. Now, this money comes with strings attached. The debt has to be repaid, often with interest. But instead of paying it off with existing money, governments often take the easy way out. They borrow even more. And guess what? The central banks keep creating money to cover it. This endless cycle of borrowing and creating money is what drives inflation. It's like filling a bathtub with a leaky faucet. The water level keeps rising, but the quality of the water, your purchasing power, keeps going down. Here's where inflation gets sneaky. It doesn't hit you like a sudden expense. It chips away at your money slowly, almost invisibly. Let's say you have $100 in your pocket today. A year ago, that $100 might have bought you a week's worth of groceries. Today, it might only cover a few days. This is because inflation reduces the purchasing power of your money. You're earning the same paycheck, but it doesn't stretch as far because prices are rising. And here's the kicker. While inflation hurts most of us, it actually benefits a few. Wealthy individuals and large corporations often use inflation to their advantage. They invest in things like real estate, stocks, or gold, assets that tend to go up in value when inflation rises. But for the average person, it's a different story. Your savings lose value, your paycheck feels smaller, and the cost of living keeps climbing. It's like running on a treadmill where the speed keeps increasing, but you can never quite keep up. Let's zoom out for a second. The money we use today isn't real money in the traditional sense. It's debt. The entire system is built on borrowing and lending. And every time more money is created, it makes the dollars you already have worth less. Think about it. If the government and central banks keep adding more debt, they're diluting the value of every dollar in circulation. It's like adding water to soup. It looks like there's more, but it's not as satisfying. Inflation isn't new, but why does it feel so much worse lately? 1. The pandemic effect. When COVID hit, supply chains crumbled. At the same time, governments pumped a ton of money into the economy through stimulus programs. More money, less stuff. Prices skyrocketed. 2. Energy prices. Rising gas and electricity costs make production and transportation more expensive, which trickles down to you. 3. Global instability. Wars, trade issues, and economic uncertainty are making inflation even harder to control. Now that we know how inflation starts, let's talk about how it actually impacts you on a daily basis. 1. Your paycheck shrinks. Even if your salary stays the same, inflation means your buying power is shrinking. It's like getting a pay cut without anyone telling you. 2. The price tag keeps going up. You're probably feeling it every time you go to the grocery store or fill up your gas tank. Inflation makes everything more expensive. What you used to pay for a gallon of milk last year might cost you a couple of bucks more this year. And it's not just milk, it's everything. Your morning coffee, the gas in your car, even the basic bills you pay each month. But here's the kicker. Your paycheck hasn't necessarily gone up to match these rising costs. You're making the same amount of money, but it feels like it's getting you less. That's because the money you earn is losing value at the same time that prices are climbing. 3. Here's where inflation gets really unfair. It disproportionately affects the middle class and those living paycheck to paycheck. For example, if you're living on a fixed income or making an average salary, you feel the squeeze more than someone who's wealthy. The rich have a safety net investments. When inflation hits, they're likely to have assets like real estate, stocks, or gold, which tend to go up in value as prices rise. So while the average person is watching their savings dwindle, the wealthy are often getting wealthier. This deepens the divide between the rich and the rest of us. 4. Inflation doesn't just affect what you buy today, it erodes your future too. Think you're safe because you're saving money? Think again. Inflation eats away at your savings. Let's say you've been putting money into savings, trying to build a little nest egg for the future. But inflation makes your savings worth less over time. That $10,000 you've saved might not have the same purchasing power 5 years from now. In fact, it'll likely be worth a lot less. Inflation also hits interest rates. When inflation rises, central banks often raise interest rates in an attempt to control it. While this can help slow down inflation, it also means the cost of borrowing goes up. So if you're planning on taking out a loan for a house or car, you'll likely pay more in interest. It's a lose-lose situation. 5. The thing about inflation is, it doesn't just show up in obvious places. Sure, you see it when you're at the grocery store, but it also creeps into things you might not notice at first, like subscriptions or services. For example, your monthly phone bill, streaming subscriptions, even your internet service. They all slowly go up over time. It doesn't happen overnight, but those incremental increases add up. By the time you realize it, you're spending more than you used to on the same things, and it feels like your income is being stretched thinner and thinner. Hey, if you found value in this video so far, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it so more people can benefit from this video. Alright, here's the million-dollar question. What can you do to protect yourself from inflation? You can't stop prices from rising, but you can take steps to cushion the blow. The first step is understanding what's going on. which you're already doing by watching this video. The next step is taking action. 1. Invest your money. Instead of letting your savings sit and lose value, put them to work. Stocks, real estate, or even inflation-protected bonds can help your money grow faster than inflation eats it away. 2. Cut unnecessary spending. Every dollar you save is a dollar that fights back against rising costs. Be smart with your spending. 3. Shop smart. Be strategic with your spending. Buy in bulk, look for sales, and cut out non-essentials. Every dollar saved is a dollar that fights back against inflation. 4. Build multiple income streams. Don't rely on just one paycheck. Side hustles, freelancing, or even starting a small business can help you keep up with rising costs. This is the why, the how, and the what now of inflation. It's a sneaky force that's making life harder for everyone, but understanding it is the first step to fighting back. If you're serious about breaking free from this cycle and want more strategies to protect your money, make sure to check out this next video right here. It's packed with actionable tips to help you stay ahead. Don't miss it.